in the den of iniquity. Vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment. What a pity. Tomorrow never certain. What dwells behind the curtain? The face of evil lurking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble that either pop or topple. Many will fall and stumble. Let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso. Cannons could breach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
Hey, 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 ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing? How are we? Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going, Joan?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I am doing well.
Yeah.
How are people in the chat? Go ahead.
No, okay. Anything exciting this week for you?
Excitement. It's always something crazy going on, and it's always exciting. Yeah, it reminds me of a video I made that said, that an exciting life is filled with boring routines. In other words, there are the boring routines that you do, but the excitement is in the things that you're pursuing and the goals and so on and so forth. Yeah, you may wake up the same time, eat the same thing, have the same regimen, but you're trying to close this big deal, or you're trying to grow something, that's where all the excitement comes in. And as far as this week goes, I've just been very busy, and I think I'm going to stay up. I'm going to pull an all-nighter tonight to try to catch things up. So I'm just hoping that it goes well, because sometimes those can be quite inefficient. But anyways, how about you? Any excitement?
Yeah, no, definitely. There's some excitement, going on. Business is slowly picking up, but again, in the event industry, there's a lot of uncertainty with rules and regulations and stuff. But people want to book gigs, people want to party, so that's been an exciting week.
That's good. That's good news. That's good news. So, what is a trophy wife, Joan?
Oh, she is the perfect wife. She is the one that does it all, that looks, perfect in every way. Says all the right things, does all the right things.
Okay. So I would say you're adding a lot extra to it. You're adding more than just the trophy aspect. You're adding that she actually is what she appears to be. But the trophy aspect, it's more of it's an external thing, right? It's like, hey, look at this, right? It's a trophy. It's a status symbol, right?
Right. Big butts, big boobs,
In other words, it's for the external world to see, right? It's not necessarily, right? Is that an aspect of it?
I guess.
Would you say?
Depends on who's looking at it, who's describing it, right?
Yeah, it's otherwise it's not a trophy wife.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason people call it a trophy wife is because it's supposed to be the trophy. It's right there. It's a branding. It's marketing.
Right.
You don't hide your brand and your marketing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, she's the one that everybody else wants.
Yeah, and you bring her around to show that, hey, you know what? I won the race
Yes,
and I got the trophy. Okay. So let's see what Google has to say, just for S's and giggles. Today we're going to be reviewing a video by Abba and Preach that goes over another video, okay, by Lana Rhodes, I believe her name is, about this trophy wife thing, but from a interesting perspective. And as usual, we're going to review it, and we're going to see what we find. I haven't watched the video. Typically, I don't watch the whole videos or anything like that. I just, but let's see what Google has to say about what a trophy wife is. But meanwhile, let me ask you this. What's the difference between a trophy wife and a gold digger? Are they perhaps the same person?
They could be the same person, I'm sure.
They could.
You
Okay.
know,
Okay.
the trophy wife could secretly be a gold digger.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So there are two things going on here. There's a trophy and then there's gold, and these things are typically not bad things, right?
Mhm.
But these are, when you talk about a quote trophy wife, it's not necessarily. In other words, there's some shade. Would you agree? I mean, right? There is some shade associated with calling somebody a trophy wife, and it's usually shade towards the guy, right? And then calling her a gold digger, conversely, right? This is all kind of shade talk, right?
Yeah, when you throw in the gold digger, yes. But
Okay, so but you don't think the trophy wife is much of a shade thing in your view?
well, I mean, okay, I don't watch a lot of movies, but whenever I watch movies that has a trophy wife in there, you know, yeah, I mean, she's not necessarily gold digger. uh, what's that movie I was thinking about? Oh, Family Man. I think it was like Family
Mm.
Man. I think with Nicolas Cage, where he kind of jumped into this alternate life, and then his wife, you know, was considered the trophy wife, but you know, he almost had an affair with someone else, and then his best friend talks to him like, "What's wrong with you? You're married to the woman that every guy wants. You know, why are you going to cheat on her?" You know.
Uh, and what was their BS answer to that? How did it resolve itself? What was the whole BS that
Well,
happened
yeah,
afterwards?
with the Nicolas Cage was giving himself an excuse, you know, like, you know, why not, you know?
I see. Okay, I see. So over here, Google says a trophy wife is a wife who is regarded as a status symbol. Again, status symbol aspect. There's status associated with this for the husband, right? A trophy wife, right? Perhaps, and we see pictures here. I'm not going to name names, right? So you can go ahead and take your pick. You're talking about relatively young and attractive, and perhaps more attractive than the husband, and whom is usually older, and he's got to be successful, right? In other words, he didn't. What did he win? Right? He won a race, and he has the wife to show. um, so that this is what anything to add, take away, or disagreements with what Google has to say with regards to
Yeah,
this
I mean,
term.
that is the stereotypical, you know, idea of trophy wife. I mean, I like how it says like she may be the third, fourth, or fifth wife.
Yeah, that's a
Like,
trophy wives for everyone else, not the husband himself. Shout out to Kareen in the house. Yes. So there are certain things that are. One way to look at it is with most things that we do, or most things that some things, well, everything that we do / want has a social aspect. It has an outward facing aspect, and we love, okay, as human beings, especially in the Western modern world, we love to talk about how independent we are and so on and so forth, right? And then certain personality types too, like my type, right? We love to talk about how much of an individual, like, you know. But I always remind myself that I'm not gonna go to the grocery store naked, right? I'm gonna wear pants,
yes.
right? And why do I wear pants? It's because other people say so. It's for other people. So
I mean, would you walk into a store without pants if it wasn't for other people?
yeah, totally. It's like why bother? You know? Yeah, why bother? I mean, whatever's most comfortable is the idea here. But the pants being for other people is just to say, you know, that a lot of the things that we do is indeed for other people. It's for the benefit of others and so on and so forth. Even certain things that we may like. Let's say it's this car that you like and it has these particular headlights, okay, that you never see.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's for the other people to see it.
Yeah. Your rims, the shiny rims, that's for other people. It's not really for you.
So the trophy wife is for other people too, and that's why that's what the status symbol, marketing department, branding comes to mind, right? Now, people throw shade at it, okay, and this is just, you know, I had no idea we were going to go down this line before we started reviewing the video, but now that I think about it, when people throw shade at it, I'm like, well, when you look at it in terms of, okay, it is branding, it is perhaps something for other people, but there's no need to go around screaming and yelling, "Oh, why are you doing things for other people?" It's like, dude, like about 75% of stuff we do is for other people.
Yep.
So how about people just do their thing? But that, I don't know. I don't know. Do you have shade for the gold digger, for example?
Do I have shade for the gold digger?
Yeah.
Yes and no, I guess. I mean, there's a certain point where like a woman just gotta find a way to take care of herself, and if she can find a guy who do that, why not, right? But there's shade when she's like purposely, going after the 85-year-old man who's in his final days, just waiting for something to happen. That's definitely shady there.
Well, but hold on a second. Let me. I like that you talked about the 85-year-old man who's about to die, and you're saying, "Oh, this lady, how dare she?" Right?
Yeah.
The 85-year-old woman, a man that is about to die, and can afford a trophy wife, right? Is a certain kind of guy, okay? And he's lived 85 years. Also, he's not stupid.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what's going on. Is my contention, right? I mean, 100% of the time, these people know exactly what's going on.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, if he's that wealthy, there's a level of intelligence there,
And so to some people who want to push back on the intelligence factor, if it's not even the intelligence, it's a question of know-how in terms of negotiating and transacting with other people. They've had experience with it. They're not fooled. Otherwise, the money would not be with. They wouldn't be the one with the bank account that people are coming for, right? So the idea that I believe the husband of, do you remember Anna Nicole Smith?
Yes. OJ.
That was an interesting one, right? He was old and dying. I believe he had made $1 billion, right? And people were like, "Oh, how dare he do?" It's like, dude, that's how he wanted to go out. It's like, it's like, you know what? I've always wanted that thing over there. Let's just go. Let's have it. Let's have some fun. Let's ride out. Because people were acting as though somebody was taking advantage of somebody else. It's like, I think that they're both aware. Now, would you then amend what you're saying regarding shade for the gold digger? If, hey, you're not fooling the guy. The guy knows what's going on, and she knows what's going on too. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just first reaction, right? Like you hear gold digger, like there's like a negative like connotation to it. Like you hear gold digger, like, oh yeah, but at the end of the day, yeah, people do what they got to do, people got to do it to survive. And then the guy, sees her. It's like, well, she just wants to survive, and I'm gonna help her out. I'm gonna marry her.
Yeah. Sometimes it's almost like there's also philanthropy is a status symbol, right? For the same class of people too, right? Just like art collecting and certain kinds of things, and those things tend to have a philanthropic end. Having an endowment fund for the arts is seen as philanthropy, not just giving to, starving kids or something. So these people tend to do that kind of thing. And a lot of times, picking up the trophy wife is almost a kind of a work of philanthropy. But, right? I mean, there is the philanthropic aspect of it too.
Yep. Charity
there's
for her.
And because it's like they don't have to marry anybody per se, right? It's like, it's like, it's not like they got to like actually wife them. Like if these people want to they can do whatever, right?
Yeah.
They can make their own transactions. It goes on IG all the time. Okay. So they don't have to. So there's a kind of a whole culture there to that. But again, we're getting distracted, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting carried away here. Shout out, ladies and gentlemen, to Goshen in the house. Shout out to Swan in the building. Mark, nice to see you again here. Layla says, "Hi, Ike." And even exchange is no robbery, says the screen. Okay, so let's start looking at the video that we're going to share today, Abba and Preach. Okay, if I can get this little thing to go ahead and do its sharing function. Abba and Preach are reviewing a video by Lana Rhodes about how to be a trophy wife. You see, Joan? Do you have any off the cuff tips before we see what other people have to say on the topic? Any how would you advise someone go about being a trophy wife?
Just be the one that everyone wants. Right?
Be the one that everyone wants. Okay. Presumably you have some pretty privilege already, so you're coming
Yep.
in with that, with some prerequisites, and then, but then wouldn't you give them the business advice? Like if you're a business person, you know, you're in business. You would talk about the market. You would talk about putting yourself in front of the market. You
Oh
talk about
yeah.
targets. How many
Hang
of these
out
men
where
you have
they
to
hang
see?
out, you know,
Uh-huh.
join a country club, go golfing, you
Okay.
know.
Okay, all right. Yeah, this is what the ladies want to hear. Shout out to Abba and Preach. We're gonna go ahead and begin this here. Fair use.
Today's topic, Lana Rhodes has a podcast called Three Girls in One Kitchen.
Who?
Lana Rhodes. She's a prawn star.
Oh, okay.
Blacked.
Oh,
Basically, if you're not familiar with the term hypergamy,
Blacked.
it means marrying into or having a sexual relationship with someone of a higher sociological status or education. So that's basically hypergamy. Hypergamy.
Hypergamy.
Hypergamy.
Hypergamy.
Okay.
And so on Tumblr, it's like a huge community. That's actually where I got the idea for today's topic of trophy wife training.
welcome to Trophy Wife Training. Here's the rule number 1 of Trophy Wife. Shut the fuck up. You're done.
If someone's a trophy wife.
All right, Joan. Let's get into it. Triple S, sex, sandwich, and silence is needed here in terms of what to remember. Okay, you say, hey, be the one that everyone is like, okay, cool, fine. But what are the skills here that are required? Really, when it comes down to brass tacks?
Push up
Yes,
bra, you know, do your hair, nice makeup, you know, accentuate the curves.
Don't forget the sandwich
Oh my God.
and the silence. Sex, sandwich, and silence. Now, that's what he mentioned, right? He was like, shut up, right? Rule number 1 for being a trophy wife, shut up. That goes into the whole connotation of it being kind of a, in other words, okay, you go in there, you know what you're getting out of the deal. He knows what he's getting out of the deal, right? Hence, there is behavior, decorum, kind of like employee type stuff, right? So if part of the job is, you know, triple S, the most important of which is the silence part, right? Like, lady, I've made my billions. I'm 85. I want to just check out nicely. Just shut up, okay? What do you have to say about that so far? About Mike, because I asked you about what are your initial thoughts, and then while you were saying that, and then he said that, I was like, you know what? How about the triple S, sex, sandwich, silence? What are your thoughts?
Oh my God. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I don't know if I'm just like naive or something, but I'd never heard of that before.
No, it's just I made it up. You know, I stitched it together from some stuff.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could see how that works. I mean, I've never experienced it myself, but you know, I can see how that works. I don't know what to say, to be honest.
Have you heard this before? Is it part of the stories, the background, the culture that men say, hey, just shut up? And what do they mean? What do you think they mean by that? What's going on there? Like, 'cause remember, Joan, we take people at their word, and we know that there's something serious underneath everything people are doing and saying.
Like, yeah.
So
we
what do you think is going on there with the whole silence thing?
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, you're just here to look pretty. That's all. You know, you don't need to say anything. You don't need to show that you're a powerful woman. I don't need any of that. I'm powerful. You're just here to look pretty.
But people are not necessarily okay. Interesting, because it's not a show about giving advice. It's like I can't help myself. I get pedagogical, which is a silly word to use there. But I'm always trying to teach something. But the idea of that silence is, in other words, what's real there. Forget all the fluff, the bullshit, the sheep stuff, and the misinterpretations by the sheep. If you wanted to, because you know about human beings and how to persuade them and so on and so forth, right? We're all driven by these different incentives. And one of the ways in which a puppy dog gets you to do things for it is by being a puppy dog, cocking his head to the right and having big googly eyes and not saying much, right? The pit bull, on the other hand, is loud, it's gonna and he's gonna get you to do stuff, right? So the idea of that silence, okay, if we take it away from the caricatures, the real thing, which I would even say, yes, learn this if femininity is your goal. The feminine wiles are silent type activities, right? It's like we talked earlier about, you trying to get somebody, luring the guy into, you got to know, I'm not the expert at it, right? But I just know human nature and I understand, it's like, we know how to work people. So that puppy dog power is real power and it's silent power, okay? You don't have to be pit bulling, okay? And the whole feminine, whatever it may be, is on the puppy dog end of things. Right? The puppy dog and the roses and the crystals and the delicate things that make you want to do things for them without necessarily beating you over the head or even telling you to do the things for them, right? So that, I would say, ladies out there, a word on that point is that is really what undergirds all that silent stuff that's going on, right? The real thing, the real power is that everything else is a bastardization of it. Now, the majority of people are going to bastardize things. So perhaps only 5 to 10% of people are going to, one, know, two, practice what I'm talking about. And I understand that. So, but I have to say it sometimes. You know how it goes, Jay. I accuse you of going on the mountaintop sometimes, but sometimes, yeah, I do it too. I got to say some mountaintop stuff just so for the people who get it. And people who are in the chat definitely get it, especially those in the chat, right? So let's continue here. We're talking about how, okay? She's going to give you the tips on how to do this thing. And by the let me go ahead and say something. That thing where they're making fun of her for how to say hypergamy, I think that's BS. I've seen people do that. Okay. Let me come for the Americans right now, okay? All right, chats. Yeah, okay, all you Americans in the chat, I'm about to come for Americans right now. There's this thing Americans do where they make fun of people for how they pronounce things, when indeed these things could be pronounced many different ways, especially these things that are Latin and Greek derived. Hyper is hyper. You can say, if I could say hyper this or hyper that. Gamy is the marriage part of like polygamy, monogamy, right? So hypergamy means you're meeting somebody, they have to be on the higher status than you. That's what women tend to want to do. That's what it describes. Oh, you have to say hypergamy. You can say hypergamy. Well, look, Americans out there, you guys need to stop that crap. You're exposing a certain kind of ignorance for the English language, okay? These things have Latin, Greek roots, so on and so forth. Things are put together, blah, blah, blah. Like, why do you think that thing lysis, always like analysis, cryptolysis, hydrolysis? These things are like, lysis actually means something, which means to break something up. Anyways, my whole thing about language, I'm getting pedagogical again, okay? So, I just saw that. I was like, oh, they're making fun of her for, get the hell out of here. You don't know what you're talking about, okay? She can say it however the hell she wants. Hypergamy is fine. It describes it anyways. Let me slow down. Woohoo. Chill like.
You're meant to be seen, not heard.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
You're a trophy.
You're not the first lady. You're
an
a trophy.
object.
This episode, we're not going to preach to you guys about how to be the perfect woman for a man. This episode's more about how to become a more well-rounded woman for yourself.
Yeah.
And that will obviously draw in a high-value man.
And I think that's the 2021 definition. And I think that's like the rebranded trophy wife, is that it's not just about looking good. Like if you want to have hairy legs and hairy armpits, you go, girl. Like you do that. If that makes you confident and you get a man like that, like I support that. I feel like we just support everything, and it's about.
Yeah, if you want to have a trophy in the corner with smudges and fucking rust on it, go, girl.
But that's not a trophy.
Nobody wants that trophy. Stop lying, okay?
But
this whole like inclusive.
All right, chill out, Abba. What do you have to say about that on what they're commenting on? Go ahead, tell us.
I mean, the women clearly, they're all about supporting each other, no matter what your vibe is. I mean, I've seen hairy-legged armpit women. They can get guys.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I like that you said that, because in other words, there's a tendency for guys to come and judge the way women talk sometimes. what they're doing, okay, and people are Goshen, okay, or even Young Swift in the chat, his age notwithstanding, probably knows exactly what I'm about to say. Women tend to do the "you go girl" thing, right? And it's fine. They're not gonna stop doing it. They shouldn't stop doing it. And guys, when we see them doing their "you go girl" thing, I know internally we're like rolling our eyes and like, what the? Give me the facts, the reality. Is it gonna, you go, whatever, like, oh, you could do that too, even if you have a 1% chance. They'll tell you, oh, it's okay, Guys don't kind of do that thing. Guys are like, hey, that's a dumb plan, probably. You probably want to find the product market fit and go with the program and get what So when women do the "you go girl" thing, guys tend to sometimes get all crazy with it, but it's like, that's how women talk. That's how they do their thing.
Guys,
They're supporting.
Yeah, guys they don't do that. I mean, come on, like you tell your guy friends like, hey, dude, you're good looking. I'm sure you can get someone.
Yeah, you got this, man. You go, you're king or whatever. It's like, nah, that's like, get the hell out of here. You're a BAN like the rest of us until proven otherwise. What have you done lately? And by mean like the last 30 minutes. So just another admonishment out there. That whole thing about like, so far all I've seen is that, which is women have to kind of like bring everybody to the fold, make everybody feel like they're in the middle of the warm fire. Okay, again, remember, that's their role. That's what they do. Okay, when you're out there fighting and killing stuff with spears and stuff like that, yeah, that's why you don't care about, all this kind of "you go girls." It's like, but that's you. So don't make that mistake. It's a common mistake guys tend to make. But anyways, let's continue here.
No, but
Like
I think
gold digger?
I think that's what she was about to say. But let's see.
How you feel in women empowerment. Like not necessarily being a trophy wife requires you to always look attractive. Some men think that.
You see why I don't have hope?
Some men think that, brains is a turn on for them. So it's what they value in their eyes, what makes you a trophy wife.
Or what you value to become a complete woman.
Then that's not a trophy wife. Call it woman empowerment. That's what it is.
I'm a provider, you know what I mean? Maybe not financially, but like in good conversations and in good company. I ain't really got a job, but I'll provide you with a body at home. That's not a provider. You can't just change the definition of stuff and then run with it like, yeah, well, this is what we
chill.
No, you're a bum.
We'll continue.
Because I want to take the negativity out of that word. So
You're
I'm gonna rebrand it. That's not what it is.
I swear, these people.
A gold digger is a gold digger, and it's okay that she's a gold digger. Be a gold digger. That's how you make.
Okay, I just think so far they're still just, again, on the, hey, stop talking like that. Just stop with the BS talk and, okay, you can be anything you want to be and still be. Do you understand why that is annoying though? Because when you're trying to tell somebody how to do X, and then you say X can be Y, Z, A, B, C, D too. I mean, if you're C, C is fine.
Well, the thing is, like, women, like, they have to justify themselves, that's just their nature. We have to justify that, hey, I may be seen as a gold digger, but I'm really a good person, But again, I think it's just like the human nature. I think women feel like they have to justify something because they have, more of an emotional attachment to an idea or a person or whatever it is, they're more emotional. We're more emotional. So for us, when someone throws that word at us, like, oh, I'm a trophy wife or a gold digger or whatever it is, like we have to justify that, we're better than that, or, we can be that, but that doesn't make us a bad person, So it's that whole like emotional trying to justify things, defend themselves, I mean, it's just how I'm observing from these women and how these guys feel. The guys obviously have an idea of, what this is. Guys are just straight to the point. This is a gold digger. This is a trophy wife. That's that,
All right. Yeah, I can't wait to get to the tips here. Let's see. First of all, shout out to Coach Ali's Corner. Yes. Thank you very much for the very generous $20 super chat. The, shall I say, sponsorship category donation there. Yeah, the word escaped me there for a second, but I remember my speech training, which says pause, don't say You must have been proud of me there, Joan, for not the I was like,
I need to work on that. Sometimes I can catch it. Sometimes I, know.
Yeah, I know, it's tough. Feels like that felt like forever there when I was doing that. I was like, oh my god, this is torture. Haven't tricked on this channel in a while. LOL. Shout out to Ike, guest, and chat. Well, thank you very much, and shout out to you one more again. So let's get back here to the video.
Way, I promise you, the English language is gonna mean nothing.
I actually have a great analogy for you guys, which I don't think I've shared with you guys before. When I was in prison,
Bro,
Come on, it's all good. I
T'es
know.
fucking chien, man.
Some of us
T'es
get.
fucking chien. Ça, c'est sûr que c'est un setup. C'est sûr que tu niaises. You set me the fuck up, Abba. You fucking trash ass person. You. Yo! C'est un fucking set. C'est sûr que tu niaises.
I guess that is funny. But
I was not
I mean-
expecting that. When I was in prison.
I mean, you know, it's let's not get all judgy.
I know. Yeah, let's come on.
You know, you
She has
know.
to let her justify her time in prison.
Let her justify her time in prison. Have you ever been arrested before, Joan?
No, no.
Oh, okay, I have.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I've been arrested like 5 times.
What? 5 times?
Yeah.
What was the dumbest reason you got arrested for?
I switched the license plate in my cars. So I had one car that was registered.
Uh-huh.
Right? It was but it was the old car, right? But I had registered for a year, you know, college times, right? Probably like 12, 13 years ago. So I had one car registered, okay? And that was my old bucket. But then I bought this new Honda. And I just put all my cash, right? Because I need a car to get to school. So like I had to get it. But I can't afford to even register this thing. And it's from Arizona's license plates. And so I took the license plate from my old car, put it in my new car. But that was the reason for the pullover, okay? The reason why I got then, taken in was some other complicated stuff. And the guy didn't like the fact that I just gotten 1/8 of the marijuana and I put it in the back of the car then after partying, I believe. Oh yeah, well I hadn't met David then. But anyways,
Oh, David.
just being a regular college guy doing regular college stuff. But also it was mainly always traffic stuff. It's like, okay, you after not showing up to court for the, and not paying your fine, right? Not paying your fine gives you a bench warrant, right? And then not having your insurance, whatever, registration, insurance, whatever one way in, and then they find the other things, and then the bills start piling up, right? And you're like, oh crap, I can't afford that one, and this and that and the other. But no, I have never pretended to be, nor am I a kind of straight and narrow kind of guy. So when people were like, oh well, when I was in prison, it's like, hey, you know what? Stuff happens, especially if you're an edgy kind of person. As I said the other day, like, hey, if you want to know if you're actually doing things, you got to be breaking rules. And I didn't say, because there's morals, there's ethics, and then there's the rules, right? And rules are made to keep certain orders in place. And if you're someone who feels like, no, I got a new order that I need to instantiate over here, then by definition, you're breaking all these rules, right?
Yeah.
The obvious examples are like Uber, with the taxi, breaking the rules of the taxi unions and stuff like that. Airbnb and the rules regarding hotels and stuff like that. Rules regarding employment, the rules regarding whatever. Gotta be breaking some rules. God damn it. That's the game. So, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Technological Chaos for the $10 super chat or super sticker. So let's continue. That was funny, the when I was in prison thing, but let me see if I can skip a little bit to get to the advice. We need to hear the advice.
Group in my cottage, which was the drug cottage.
Very good. Wrap it up. All right.
No.
Okay, so she had some drugs.
Been
Okay,
hatched.
go ahead.
A really hot model that like she's just a gorgeous girl, drop dead gorgeous. Every guy in LA would love to date her. And he would say that he couldn't be with her because she's had too many sexual partners and he only dated her because he wanted a trophy wife or a girlfriend.
Yes, a trophy that's been passed around hundreds of times doesn't have the same value as a trophy that you get for yourself. If you're looking for a trophy, it's meant to be for a winner. You want to feel special. It doesn't make sense. You know what it's like? It's like the dudes who talk about like high value man, but they broke. This is the other end of that spectrum.
Yeah, it's
Right?
the same.
These are girls who got peed and pooed on trying to be trophy wives. It's like, boo boo, this trophy.
Hey, don't be knocking the the double P. Okay. So, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure yet. I need to hear more. I'm not sure yet. I don't want to justify anything.
Coming out with doo-doo stains on it. And you like, why wouldn't you accept me? Because there's 3 trophies down there. It looks clean.
Because your hair look doodle brown. Doodle brown. It's doodle brown.
Yo, let's go.
Doodle brown.
I think sometimes in a relationship where some guys just might get bored and they just want to bring something up from the past to use against you, or even just when they fight in general, like it could be over bringing the wrong cup of coffee for your significant other, and then that argument is just gonna downfall to, well, you've slept with so many people, you're a whore, you know, just because they want to use something against you.
Well, someone has some problems. Someone has some problems.
Can I get an espresso? Brought you.
You ever been called a whore over a cup of coffee?
Oh my gosh.
Cappuccino. You fucking slut. Hey, babe. Sorry. I need to put it back in the microwave. You fucking dirty whore.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense. C'est quoi?
In this room, I'm gonna double look at her and be like, is she the hottest girl in this room?
No, you're gonna be like, no, bitch, she's not.
Damn right.
Who the fuck she? What? She thinks she's the hottest bitch in the room? No, she's not.
How about this?
Who the hell she thinks she is? That's
How
what you gonna do.
about this? How many times have an ugly man come up to you with all the confidence in the world and you're like, ew?
Ew.
You weren't like, damn, is this Quasimodo looking nigga Brad Pitt? No! Stop lying. This is kind of delusional doublespeak that people do to themselves to make themselves think they can be anything. Bitch, if you 5'4", you always gonna be 5'4".
No, I'm fine.
All right? Once you get pissed and pooed on, that's gonna be part of your history. It is what it is.
Once you get pissed and pooed on, you're staying.
You can't be a trophy wife.
You can't, and it's fine.
It's okay.
Majority of people are not trophy wives.
Damn right.
Majority of wives are not trophy wives.
Yes, and majority
the
of people-
majority of guys are not top tier.
There you go.
So we good.
I could go get a new lube job today, but it wouldn't make me feel as good as I feel about being smart and educated.
And I think education also, or just educating yourself, there's no limit.
Bro, isn't this the most basic thing?
It is it's basic.
Did you not see that Starbucks cup?
It's super basic.
Did you see that
I
stuff?
saw it.
Spiced pumpkin?
Yeah.
You think so?
Latte.
Can we check their feet?
Let's go.
For what?
UGG boots.
You ever called yourself smart and educated, Joan? I just thought that was funny that she would call herself. Is that how people talk?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I definitely hear women talk like that. I mean, I don't want to judge, but I guess I should. You know, this is why we're here on YouTube, right? It's all about judging. Yeah, I mean, the way they're talking sounds very shallow. It sounds very shallow, you know, again, like justifying themselves and, you know, giving each other, you know, like, hey, it's okay that you said it. Oh, it's okay that happened. You know, you go, girl. And then it kind of cracked me up about the coffee thing. You know, like, I don't know if a guy would ever call, you know, a woman like a slut for like bad coffee. I feel like it's the other way around. Like, usually it's like the women like bring up like, you know, the guy's past. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's just from my
Well, okay. So we might pause here and then. So here's something that it's a cliche. People call it projection, right?
Mhm.
Projection is so real that we don't even recognize it. projection is kind of fundamental to everything, right? Projection is why when your back hurts, you're looking at your neighbor with the stink eye, right? In other words, it's always projection. You're always taking something and throwing it where it doesn't belong,
Right.
And in other words, it's not just something like, oh, like silly people do or whatever. It's like, no. Everybody should be always checking themselves for projection. And unfortunately, the majority of people in their sheepish ways are going to be the worst kind of projectors, right? And the people who project the most tend to accuse other people of projection because that's a projection as well, right?
Yep.
They're projecting that other people are projecting, and no one is like you are the one that does everything. So her saying, I just it was kind of funny because he's like, oh, it could be something so simple, and they'll bring up your. I'm like, that's you, huh?
Yep. That's totally her. I
That
mean,
is,
just all my years of like knowing men and, like having dated different men, like never has a guy ever projected something on me from a cup of coffee. It's usually like, women build things up, they build up their emotions, it gets all bottled up. And then one day, you just happen to bring them a cup of coffee and you're pissed, like I've been through that, that's more of a woman thing, unfortunately.
I like the derivative of projection over there. Someone's doing calculus in there, but sorry, nerd talk. But damn, Gosham in the house, the
Aw, thank
high
you.
value man. He is the guy with the. Hey, I think we have for those would-be trophy wives out there, we have your trophy husband in the chat with the $100 super chat,
Oh yeah.
holding it down, right? I mean,
Who
that
cares
is,
what he looks like, right? Who cares what he looks like?
who gives a crap? That 320 there might be his weight, but we don't care. Maybe it's not 320, it's 320 pounds. But
Or
hey,
maybe that's his year,
yeah.
March 1920.
Hey, he was born in 1920. We don't care. We want
He's 100.
where that 100 came from. We know there's plenty more where that came from, and we need that Goshen cash. I mean, the name too also sounds small hat like, if you know what I mean. And they tend to have money stashed away somewhere in the banks that they control in Hollywood. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Goshen. Once again, another round of applause. That is definitely topping it up after Coach Ali started out with that. Now, so projection is a very important thing that we all tend to do. Now, there is a rule that I give myself, which is basically whenever I'm irritated, because it's always true. Right? It's always true, this thing I'm going to say for you, for me, for everybody. Whenever you're irritated with something in someone else next time, you're also irritated about that thing in yourself. So it doesn't mean that thing is not in that person. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you kind of taking it and making it something is your thing.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's true. It's like all the stuff I talk about sitting up on the mountains, like, it's your ego, being triggered by something you see in someone else because deep down you have that same problem too. It's just the way it works. Everything that you have a problem with, it mirrors you. You're looking in a mirror. A problem is a problem because you make it a problem. Something annoying is annoying because you made it annoying. It's all triggers, like things that you probably have, things that you're dealing with, but you're refusing to deal with it. So you just blame it on someone else. That's just human nature, build up the ego that way.
Indeed. So yeah, I always check it out. I'm always like, okay, I'm seeing somebody doing this thing. It's quite annoying. And then I look back, and even in my recent history, I can always find, when did I do something that is like that thing? Now, this is where other people, let me say, in other words, it's not just that you do exactly the same thing. You could just do something that is different. You know what I mean? You don't leave your shoes in the doorway, but you tend to leave your pen on the nightstand or whatever the hell it may be. And it irritates you. You're doing it too. Okay. And you can always watch and check, and you don't like it about yourself either. And when you catch yourself, you kind of do. So we're projecting. We're always projecting and doing all this kind of crap. It's almost, shall we say, sometimes I almost wonder how people don't just kill each other. Like it's almost like a surprise that all these sheep are out there and no one. It's not just a mad slaughter. I guess people are scared. Nietzsche did say, okay, that what morality amongst common people. I sound like a total douchebag. Common people.
You common folks.
The commoners.
Drop my ear. Don't say that.
Morality.
Okay, what were you gonna say?
But I am quoting Nietzsche, and he was all about that kind of hierarchy thing, and he was talking about morality amongst the commoners is nothing but cowardice, right? And for those whom are at a level where they can, anyways, morality only comes with power. You can only judge moral when you have the opportunity, right? If you don't have the opportunity to cheat, then you can't be like, oh, I'm a very faithful husband. It's like, well, nobody wants you, right? You have to put the whole idea, right? So if you can't get it, or you're too scared to get it, doesn't mean you're moral. So for most people, it's just cowardice, lack of opportunity, not being high value enough, not being Goshen out here. You see Goshen out there? Anyways, shout out to Goshen one more time. Shout out to Complex Design showing up. We got hey, Q Dog or Quay Dog, long time. Kwesi Jackson in the building. So let's continue, ladies and gentlemen. Abba is doing a little bit too much roasting, but it's all good.
They're wearing Uggs. We know.
Obviously, I've experienced this a ton because of my past. Guys will be fine with it at the beginning. Then as those feelings start to develop, they start getting insecure and jealous the more in love with you they are. And then they start questioning, they start going and watching the stuff, and then they start questioning you about it. And they just get very insecure in themselves. And so
They go watch the stuff because the stuff is out there, honey. And you put it out. I mean, it comes with a cost, okay? They live in this fantasy world where, I'm gonna do everything that I want to do, and it's not gonna come at a cost or something. It will.
Who would get married with somebody, find out they got a criminal record, and wouldn't check into it? Who would marry somebody, find out they got videos of them singing in front of millions of people, and wouldn't go watch it? If you're with somebody, you're gonna look into it. If it's online, of course.
Oh, but Abba, you're sex shaming. No, that's not what it is. It's not slut shaming. It's not what it is. There's a cost. That's how the society works.
Damn right.
That's how the society.
I've even had that happen with myself as well, where I'm super cool at the beginning of a relationship, then maybe something happens, or just those feelings develop, and then you sort of just become the love sometimes makes you act in a way that you wish that you didn't.
I've definitely been like that. I've been in relationships where I'm like, I don't know why I'm picking this fight today, but
back to being
who is this girl?
Who is this girl? Is the woman version of whore? So you say you don't want that because you went to get him a coffee. I didn't get that, but you're doing the same thing. Do you even realize you're doing the same? Press play.
But do you guys think that I should, a lot of people tell me, oh, you'll never be married. Why would anyone want to date you? Do you think I should be excluded from ever being considered a trophy wife because of my past?
No.
Yeah. Trophy wife.
So there's something, okay, now this is something that is said in general, and I'll let you say whatever you may have, gathered. But in general, there's this thing that, it is dangerous to get advice. Okay. They say it about women, but let's talk about the description. In other words, women don't always have to be doing this whole you go girl thing, right? So, but when you go girl is prevalent, don't get advice from those people, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get anything done in the world or meet any with you go girl advice, right?
Exactly. There's no accountability. There's no, self-responsibility. It's like, oh, do whatever you want. You go, girl. Who cares if you screwed him over? You go, girl. But again, very shallow, conversations. And it's just, where do you really learn from there? How do you really grow and, learn from your mistakes? And if they're constantly cheering you on, you go, girl, and you just keep doing the same thing, end up with the same type of guy, break up the same way, there's a certain point where it's just, there's a word for that, but I can't think, but it gets toxic, after a while, because you're not really growing from it. I hate that word toxic, but it's so trendy right now.
How about the word growing? You like that one?
Oh yes, I'm all about growing.
Oh, you like growing?
I'm growing my hair,
Growing your hair. You have any plants?
Oh yes, I have a ton of plants. See, there's one right behind me.
Oh, okay. You have any pets?
No, I wish I did,
Okay.
but I just don't have
You're a
the
plant
energy
lady.
to do that right now. I mean, someday. It's part of the
Gotcha.
plan.
Gotcha. Shout out to the chat. Let's continue here. And again, it is about if you have certain past. It seems to be the case here that I've noticed with, or if you have a high count or something weird or whatever, some reason why you don't fit in this trophy wife club, but somehow you want to fit in there, otherwise you wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah, I've been
What do
wondering
you?
about that. It's like, okay, so they're obviously having this conversation because they want to figure out how to be the trophy wife. But then, at the end of the day, her past is her past. So she thinks, oh, I'm doomed to not be a trophy wife, but I still want to figure out if I could still be a trophy. It's dumb. Then like,
Oh no,
what
the
about-
rules should only apply to everybody else. Don't you get it, John?
No. Oh gosh. What about just talking about like, hey, how can I just be in a healthy relationship? How do I find a guy that will accept me for who I am? Like, where do I find that? Instead of being like, how
Okay,
can I
let's
be a
talk
trophy
about that
wife?
because that's where she started out with hypergamy. Let's talk about that then, because we know, yeah, sure, how about that? But that's not what women want, right? So what are you gonna say to them? Like, oh, you shouldn't. It's like you can't tell them what they want, what they should want. Now,
No, I guess I can't.
so and we know, culture after culture, population after population. Again, the majority of people, that middle of the bell curve type stuff, they're gonna do what they do, right? And then, no matter how much you tell them, oh, maybe you shouldn't. Why do you just want a regular health? It's like, no, they don't want a regular guy.
No, I guess not. They don't. They want, I mean, if there's such a thing as a trophy husband, then yeah, then they want the trophy husband.
Okay. So what do you think that the past generations did then? Because again, we're getting detoured again into some just rabbit hole conversation. But why not? That's what we do over here. Well, what do you think that the past? Okay, let me just state what I think. In the past, why was this not a problem? Or like hypergamy always exists, just like the.
Yeah.
So the basic idea is men want everything and women want only the best, right? In terms of the sexual marketplace, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger will have sex with his ugly maid. He doesn't care. It's not about what she was. She was there. It was her, or whatever. The rag over there in the corner. So men want everything. Women want the top. That's not going to change. That's our nature, right? Okay. But why was this not much of a? How were you able to keep this in check in the past? Well, simple. In the past, most men were relatively high value men from the point of view of their wives, because in a close knit society, imagine yourself in some village somewhere where you have traditional roles, and then everybody is given status and recognition kind of based on their particulars, being a member of the community, right? So he's an upstanding man. He's a deacon at the church. Yeah, he doesn't make $1 billion. He works as he's been a clerk, but we all keep it to he's still a high value man, because value is always this relative thing, especially in this regard, right? When it comes to the quantitative measurement anyways. That's why people who are poor in the United States are rich compared to other people, but that doesn't matter. It's about it's about the Joneses, right?
Yep.
It's always about the Joneses. So relative to the Joneses, every man was a high value man vis-a-vis his wife. She was satisfied, right? Fine, But if now she can be, as she said, smart and educated, as she said, and she can be in this industry and have some fame and begin to grow her status and so on and so forth, right? She has nowhere to go now, but something that's bigger than even that. You get what I'm saying? And it becomes a tall order, and you become dissatisfied because you can't just tell the woman, no, just change your nature. Unless, well, you can, religion, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. That's what it's about. It's about, hey, man, check this. You, woman, check that. Whichever little dirty little things both of you like to do, right? And they're different in all regards. And we just talk about one particular regard in which they're different, which is hypergamy versus wanting everything, right? So that's the whole my whole spiel there in terms of like, well, in the past, that's why it was not a problem, because
Right.
it was said such a way where you could still look at him that way. But now it is impossible to look at him that way. He has to actually be that dude. And everybody wants that dude. There's not enough of that dude to go around. So what is to be done, Joan?
Well, yeah, I mean, things have changed, right? Society has changed where like women can be just as successful as men, make as much money or more than men. And it's become a thing where it's like, oh, it's bad. If you're a woman that want someone who's of higher status than you. You know, there's something wrong with that, because we live in a world where we're supposed to be equal. You know, we're supposed to be equal. You know, men and women are the same. And it's just one of those things. It's just hard to, you know, go back to how things were before, when that was okay, because we're just so caught up in, you know, keeping up with each other. Men and women are now keeping up with each other, especially women trying to keep up with each other. And then there's this whole thing about women trying to replace men, you know, and how do we fix that? You know, I don't know. You know, I think how do we fix anything? Mind your own damn business. You know, people should just mind their own damn business and just do what you got to do. And, you know, if you meet someone who's of higher status than you, great. If not, I mean, that's, you know, that's your problem or whatever. That's not their problem. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a nice little detour. I like your answer. I think that when it comes to status, obviously, we're talking about gradations of people. So the answers are going to be different. There's some people who have no problem here, right? The top 10% of guys that don't have the problem. And what is on the screen right now, I think, it's a good point there, saying, hey, you know what? This thing kind of happened. In other words, people did not know this word, hypergamy or hypergamy, if you want to come for people about how they say hyper. People did not know this in terms of their regular stuff, because there's no reason to have all these kinds of knowledge of the intricate workings of human nature if you have traditions and scaffolding, right? If you say, hey, this is your job, you do it, and you'll get status, money, and a family. You do that, and you'll get that, and this is kind of general ranking, and maybe some of you get to die in war, and whatever it is, there's an order. Then you don't have to know about how to work, how people are, what the secret little motivations are, right? Because there's an order that takes care of that. The order is an emergent order. It comes out naturally based on each of these little crazy things. You can imagine emergent orders coming out of unconscious things even, right? Based on whatever the rules are of the game, right? So not one person has to look at the whole grand game, right? Not everybody has to be a philosopher, right? So the philosopher can hover above, look at the emergent order and say, oh yeah, people are doing this because of that, and this one is hypergamous, and this is this, okay, bada boom, bada bing, okay? Now, those people can play a particular game, but that's a small percentage of people, okay? Then you have the people whom are going to be successful in this particular regard being key, because we're talking about hypergamy. Like someone might say, hey, follow this plan. Here's the Ike plan, okay? Ike plan says, be above average height. That works, okay? Make above average high value, okay? Like just push that, just keep pushing up that income as far up as possible, okay? And also be a high level thinker and mover. In other words, just be that dude. So that's the Ike program, right? Now, that's what I'm trying to, in other words, I'm being slightly facetious, but not using myself as an example and not whatever, right? But that works. It tends to work in the landscape of, okay, plus obviously you're not a fool, so you know what you're getting into. Like you said, that 85-year-old man, like, oh, but they're just going to take advantage of you if you, it's like, dude, if you're able to push that income up that high and do this and that, the other, you're not an idiot. Anyways.
Right.
So you can do that. But the truth is, for the majority of the other guys,
the common folks,
for the commoners out there, it truly is a question of restarting. Where, I mean, what could be because you're up in the mountain. Because the reverse of the Ike plan for a woman is the Joan plan, which is, be high level, have pretty privilege, and so on and so forth, and then you can think your way through and be up in the mountains, right? But what are your friends to do, Joan?
What are her friends to do? Settle. Just kidding.
She said it. She said settle.
What are the friends to do? I mean, we're speaking from the mountaintop. We are all here on planet Earth to learn and expand our minds. And really, we are all supposed to level up on a, intellectual, spiritual level. We are all here to learn, improve ourselves. Otherwise, keep coming back into these lifetimes the same way over and over and never learning a thing. But, the thing is now we have so much access to information. We're exposed to so many, perspectives now. there's no excuse for you to not level up, you know, whether you're a man or woman, there's no reason for you to not be able to level up your ways of thinking and being and perspective and all that. So I think, you know, people sometimes they just have to hit a certain point where you're like, fuck, you know, what do I do? Why is this not working out for me? Well, maybe I need to start looking at myself. Some people just never get there, you know, and they live their whole lives that way. And it's unfortunate. But most important thing, people need self-awareness, you know, self-awareness. People lack that so much. And that's how you learn. That's how you grow and you expand your mind, is you have to start with looking at yourself like, hey, what do you want? You know, like what's important to you? And then once you figure that out, then you can go out there and look for what you want that matches you. That all makes sense.
So here, I'm going to say another thing which is more jarring or more shocking. If you can be more jarring or more shocking. But shout out to the Super Chatter Technological Chaos. But thank you very much. This is very generous of you. You guys have been holding it down. And you others out there, go ahead and drop 99 cents, $2. You can't just let Goshen and these other high value men out here you know, do all the heavy lifting. You got to throw your little shekels and your shillings in. Now, basically, what he is saying, and if you don't mind reading what's on the screen, please, John.
Okay. Added to, HVM.
High value man problem.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Still learning these things. Added to high value man problem for community is large information distribution of options, and globalization dilutes value of members in a small community, as each member is seen as replaceable versus valuing contribution and capital of each member of the group. Yeah, I totally see that.
Yeah. So you have, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I don't know, I just thought about Tinder, right? Like people just like swipe until you find something, and then maybe you meet the one that you like there, and then later on you realize, oh, well, you know, I can find someone else. We're kind of in that, you know, a fortunate state in society where we're always just looking for something better, where maybe the best thing was right in front of you the whole time, but we have so much thrown at us. You know, there's a lot of people, like it's just more options, right? So there's just more people to meet, more, you know, opportunities out there, and that, you know, we just take for granted what's given to us. You know, we're constantly thinking like, oh, I need more, I need something better, you know, like, oh, I may have like the most beautiful woman in the world, but you know what? I bet there's someone else more beautiful. You know? And that's just, in a way, yeah, society's doing that to us. You know, they're making us unsatisfied. And I think that's why there's just a lot of broken relationships and just really, you know, a lot of lost souls, because they're just constantly bombarded with like more, you know, and yeah, that's just the sad state we're in, you know.
And it takes, because basically what you're saying there is, okay, that paralysis by analysis. I cannot decide which toothpaste to get. I just keep on looking at this, that, the other, blah, blah, blah. I don't have any strong framework pushing me. I just go with the marketing, and you have choices and you have freedom. And it's a problem, especially in modern times. Modern times, we've grown out of the scaffolding and the rigidities of, shall we say, traditions, religions, and otherwise. So here's the thing I was saying, I'm going to say that's kind of jarring right now. So everyone in the chat, so far, we've talked about, hey, if you're Joan, here's the kind of thing you can do. But majority of people are not Joan. If you want to follow the be superlative as a man, you can follow that path too. But obviously, that's a small percentage. So when people talk about these things, they tend to do this and then stop. Okay? No one wants to be responsible, after all, for hurting the masses in the middle ground and the sheep. I say, look, you are faced with postmodern nihilism, but you may need to turn back to some kind of belief. And it may be dangerous. I don't know. Maybe you join, maybe it's ISIS. Some people left the West. Some men did leave the West to go join ISIS, right? But the point is, it's of that flavor. In other words, the opiate of the masses is needed, because not everyone is going to be Joan with her philosophical, intuitive knowledge and her pretty privilege. Not everyone's going to be Ike with his crazy workaholic ways and so on and so forth. So not everyone is going to do that. It's only a small percentage, as a matter of fact. The middle have always needed that opiate, that sheep herder, that they needed to be gathered together, one collective neck with a collective chain around their necks. See that visual? Yeah, I'm being provocative for a reason. But anyways, that is, I always want to just say, hey, that's always left on the table. You can't just say these things about special people and leave it at that. Okay, the problem is far from solved. So let's continue anyways. Continue to review, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out, by the way, to the Super Chatter. Freeman Journal. Thank you very much. Let us see here.
No. Trophy wife absolutely should be excluded. You just don't got the requirements. It's like, should me fucking 30 guys mean I'm excluded from like being a virgin? Yes. I'm not saying you should strive to be a virgin. I'm just saying you can't be one, okay? This whole like new thing where everyone can just say they are what they are. I'm 10 years old. You're not 10.
I'm a born again version.
No, you're not.
You're not.
You're a whore. Sorry. Let me rephrase.
God damn, bro.
You're it's because it's a video.
God damn.
It's because she didn't bring you. You
just
didn't bring me the right coffee.
You just
Hey, you don't gotta be so. I gotta be so angry.
out the ballpark. You just went. You just fucking.
You're a
went,
whore.
You just went fucking. You went in. I'm going in for the win.
Damn.
The fuck?
I'm just saying. It's like
Because it, once again, like I had mentioned, you know, the concept of trophy wives is more focused on the man than the women because it's in their eyes, it's like a possession, it's a prize that they value.
It literally means that they won.
the winner does not ask the trophy how they feel. He claims it. That's like
I see you smiling. Do you have anything you wanted to say?
I mean, yeah, I guess they're right. You know, I mean, the guy can call her the trophy wife because I mean, yeah, he won the woman that he wants. You know,
So
you
here's
can act like a trophy
yeah.
wife, but not be the trophy wife. You know, you can try to be and manifest the trophy wife life, but you know, I mean, it's up to the guy to decide: are you the trophy wife or not?
So the thing about it being about the guys is like, no, it's an easy shortcut for, okay, look, here's basically the mating strategy is this, right? You're a woman, you find out who won the race and you get that person. That is what women are, that's what hypergamy is, right? That's the women dating mating strategy. Who won the race? Who is the guy that beat all those other guys? I don't need to know what fighting is. I don't even know what they're fighting about, right? That is true. I don't need to know about the intricacies of mergers and acquisitions as a woman to know that that guy presumably is good at something and he won the mergers and acquisition game and he's a billionaire and I go for him, right? So the idea that it's all one-sided, it's like, come on, let's not get weird here that it's about the guys and they look at you as a possession. Yes, 100% correct, but you are participating. You stand there, you waited at the finish line. Okay, you didn't get him when he was you didn't do our program. Remember Pick a Lame, our program? Pick a Lame, where we set you up with a lame in engineering school, perhaps, something like that. And you can go through your whole phase while he develops and you get to lock him down. And then later on he can come and take care of things after his, anyways. So the idea is you waited at the finish line and then you get that guy. So stop acting like you're not getting something or that you didn't know what you were doing at the finish line, waiting for this person. Like, I mean, come on now. What's going on here, Joan?
I guess, yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah, you got to be the trophy wife, I guess, and hopefully some guy wins you, right? I mean, it's just, but again, the guy decides, right? Hey, you're out of all the women, like, hey, you're the trophy wife. I want you, that one.
Yeah, it's that whole thing about rules and not wanting the rules to apply to you and that whole kind of accountability thing. But anyways, let us continue, ladies and gentlemen.
like a fish trying to talk to a fisherman about fishing. Just shut the fuck up and be a fish.
And I don't want a trophy. I don't have a trophy wife. That's not what I want. But for the people that get into that
Freudian slip.
trophy, what you won. You're the prize. So of course it's gonna be focused on the man.
Damn right.
God damn.
When I was in prison, we used to do a group in my cottage, which was the drug cottage. And I remember our counselor, Miss Smith, we do a lot of stuff on love because it was a women's prison. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times women got sucked into things with men trying to chase after love.
Mm-hmm. The reason why she's in prison is because she loved a man too much. Accountability. What's that?
And I remember she held up a picture, it was a black and white picture. And she said, you want to be a full picture by yourself. You should already be a full picture. And then she held up another picture and it was the same picture, but it was colored in. She says you need to be the full picture by yourself, and once you complete that picture, you will find someone who will bring color to it.
That's amazing. Yeah.
If you're a trophy wife, you have to be some kind of woman. And when you get to that point of a woman, you're going to find someone that's going to be able to hang that trophy on a wall. I mean, that picture. I mean, great analogy, by the way.
All right. Well, here comes the porn star ex-convict who wants to tell you how to be a high-value woman. Anyways, okay.
Bro.
Anyways,
C'est so nice.
okay. Now, that is it for today's video.
Oh, yes.
Do you have anything that you've taken away?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Do you want
Okay. Now I think that regardless of all the shade thrown her way, beginning with the what I consider to be unfair picking on her for the hypergamy pronunciation, which I don't think there was any issue there, but introducing the idea of hypergamy. I'm talking about I think she's the brunette, the one that seems to be the kind of the star of the show. It seems she has that presence. She seems to be the most self-aware one there. And then that other one, the blonde one, wants to fight somebody right from the beginning.
Yeah.
But the idea of being upfront about hypergamy and not kind of wavering around it, I think is good. Now, they did a little bit too much of that you go girl talk, hence not giving real advice. And this is why this doesn't help women. Okay, there's a reason. Okay, when you want to get advice, especially about dating, and if it's dating men, you should typically talk to men, if you can, or talk to that aunt or auntie or somebody that's going to give it to you directly, because women should not. They don't want to, and perhaps they shouldn't. Now, let me ask you this, Joan, because if you give a woman the information as a friend too directly, it might ruin your friendship, actually, right?
Yeah, it could. Yeah. I mean, I've always been the type, like with my friends, just upfront, like, fuck that guy, like kind of thing, like, or, hey, maybe you're misinterpreting him. I don't know. But like, I have a hard time just being like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that about, oh, he's such a jerk. No, like, it's either like, if I think the guy's a jerk, I tell him he's a jerk. But if I think you're being an idiot, yeah, I'll tell you you're being an idiot. But yeah, that's unfortunately, it's like, it's true. I think I've definitely gotten better dating advice from my male friends as opposed to my female friends. Female friends are all about just justifying, their female companions, actions and feelings and all that. It's all that. I mean, it's funny. It kind of made me think of that lady that we've been analyzing. Was that Brini Lee?
Doesn't that sound wrong to you, though? Doesn't that sound a little like sexist? Here's the reason why. I'm not. In other words, I always want to stop by the source of certain emotional triggers for people, just so we stop and look at it and make sure that it's no longer a trigger, right? In other words, when you say something like, I've gotten better advice from men about dating than women, and when that whole saying has been out there that says, hey, you want advice about this, don't listen to the women, and is it not right for certain people? Don't you feel, isn't there something that gets triggered in people that says, oh, what do you mean? That's I've got some kind of ist or phobe, or
Yeah.
some kind of something phobe or ist is there now, and perhaps I'm putting a burden on you, so maybe I should take a little bit of the burden first by saying that understanding social dynamics is all really this is all about. Remember, we talked about the fact that women are the ones that need to keep the fairness machine nicely tempered. They need to keep everybody feeling that they're part of the thing. It's a feelings thing.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you think that people don't run on feelings, then you're just a crazy person somewhere else, right? You're insane, right? Mm-hmm. So the society, to keep it together, there's this thing called, again, extroverted feeling. The thing that about bonding, that thing that either is a desire strong to connect with people or an aversion to people. It's a feeling, right? It's not a voice. It's not God telling your head, no, not that one. Oh, yes, this one. It's a feeling. And to regulate that feeling, okay, is a function that women tend to perform more readily. And regulating of those feelings and operating that machinery, okay, requires you to say such things as, you go girl and it's fine and so on and so forth, right? That is why you don't go there for advice. You go there for what? You go there for the feeling stuff.
Right.
So it's not denigrating anybody, right? It's
Yeah.
saying, hey, you don't go to a HR department for accounting advice. You go to the HR department because, maybe you need some help with this, you need to change it, whatever. Maybe they can, we have this program, and that's where you go for the feels, right? And coincidentally, women tend to go there. Why do you think women tend to go to HR departments? They kind of naturally want to do that kind of thing anyways, okay? So it is not you saying, you can't take advice from those women, they're crazy. It's like, no, you don't go there for the advice. You go
Right.
there for something else. I mean, does that make sense?
No, totally. I mean, with women, they're very supportive of each other, which is great. We all need that kind of support amongst like the sisterhood or whatever. But like me, like if I want to understand a guy, I'm gonna ask a guy. I'm gonna ask like, hey, like what does he really mean? Because then when I go to a women, about like, hey, what did he mean by this? Of course, they're gonna twist it into their own, emotional way of explaining things. And yeah, I mean, it's very true. I mean, it's not like I'm being sexist towards women about advice, but it's just my experience. Like with women, they want to make you feel good about who you are and what you do, your decisions you make. They want to make you feel better when you're feeling bad. But if I want to understand guys, I mean, who better to tell me than a guy? Like a woman doesn't know a guy, like how guys think, but a guy does. So it's totally just the way it is. Like you go to where you need this, you go to the source. If you need to know something, you go to, the people have like their purpose, right? You go to women for a certain purpose, you go to a man for a certain purpose, and that's just the way it works. I mean, it's the way they think.
And here's another thing, okay? And then we'll wrap it up. But there's an issue with the story of modernity. Ha ha ha! What the hell are you talking about, Ike? Like, who starts out a phrase like that? There's an issue with the story of modernity. I tell ye. Basically, that part of the story is this: the things that women are good at are trash. That's the story. In other words, it says, hey, that thing we just described, that you go to HR for, that you go to the women for, that we talked about the silence, the femininity, right? That can get you to do things, right? The modern narrative is all that stuff is crap. Everything is about the bag, the workplace, the W-2s, paying taxes, buying property. That life, that's all we need. That other realm, I described a realm and I said HR department as a way to kind of localize it and you give it a concrete example. But to say that humanity does not need an HR department or that nurturing is not needed and everything is about the bag and tax forms, right, is a big problem with why when you say, hey, women are good for these things, people don't look at those things with value. And by people, I mean women. They don't look at those things as a being of value. Like, shouldn't I be in a cubicle somewhere? Right? Isn't that what the thing is supposed to be? Right? Now, for a woman like yourself who has desires to maybe not be in cubicles, but to do things that may require a cubicle in terms of work and such and so on and so forth, right? What are your thoughts regarding that devaluing of that which makes a house a home, right? Is another way to categorize the HR department, extroverted feeling, fairness department, right? How have you experienced that? Why is it the thing that, okay, there's something men do and there's something women do, and somehow there's a story there that everything that the woman's supposed to be good at naturally is bad, and you should chase what the man is chasing after. How have you
Right.
experienced that in your life?
How do I experience that? Let me just kind of trying to put it into words, but I'm gonna think about like how I grew up, right? Both my parents work. My mom had a job, my dad had a job, full time, raised 5 kids. So for me, it's like, oh, growing up, that's just the way it is. However, my older sister, and then as I got older, like we kind of held the house together. Like we were the ones that kept the house clean and make sure the boys weren't causing any trouble and or staying out late or whatever, growing up together. So I saw both aspects of that, but how do I deal with it now? I mean, I personally, like, even though, I work and I build business, and I'm a musician, and I'm creative, and like I want to do things, I want to earn money, and I'm curious about like real estate and all that stuff for the future. But I don't know what it was. There's something that kind of just struck within me in like the last couple of years, where I felt like I got in touch with my traditional feminine, qualities. Like I've always been great at cooking, and I don't mind cleaning. Like it's just, I garden. I do things that seems like I guess modern women look down on. I don't know. But I mean, I know how to cook, and it seems like some women are proud to say, "Oh, I don't cook." Like I've seen that so much, and I'm like, what's wrong with knowing how to do things? Whether you're a man or woman, like, what's wrong with knowing how to do things naturally? But for me, it's like now I'm trying to find a balance between like having a career, but at the same time still keeping the house a home. Like making it cozy, making it somewhere where my husband and I feel like, oh, I'm comfortable here. I love being at home. Like I make great dinners, and like, keep the house a home. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I don't really deal with a lot of people these days. I don't really hang out with anybody who maybe opposes the way I choose to live my life. I just do what I do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it brings balance for me, at least. And it's just unfortunate that, we're just in a very judgmental society where, you can't be traditional woman anymore. I just don't find anything wrong with that. But I used to be that person too, to judge other, my other friends who just decided to have, get married and have kids and not have a career. I used to judge them too, but I realized like, hey, you're just doing your role as a woman, like you got married and you have kids, you're making, your house a home. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's it's beautiful, but again, we're just in that.
But that cubicle though.
Yeah, I know. We're all supposed to work. We're all just like, numbers, units that make the, government money. But
okay. Yeah, and it's interesting because I still, again, I don't think that that the average individual can even take responsibility for it, in the sense that you're saying this and you're separating yourself out and you're doing your thing. Mm-hmm. But the average individual, if we come down to the ground again, is still going to be in chaos until they find some kind of collective order. It has to be a group thing. It has to be that's how they roll. Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll be difficult. It'll be difficult to be able to negotiate the truth about your psychology, your condition, your actual desires with the world and then other people without. Anyways, not to repeat myself, I am going to try to end it on time this time, even though we're already over time. Shout out to everyone in the chat and those of whom participated in the chat and those who were listening quietly. Shout out to Goshen again for the $100 super chat. Much appreciated. Okay. So we started out one end and we came out the other end talking about cubicles and how somebody has been able to paint the image that the cubicle is where happiness and meaning actually is. That having a tax ID is actually where happiness and meaning actually is. We know that these things are proxies to status and so on and so forth, which we desire. But desiring status doesn't mean, and meaning doesn't mean that you go into some kind of, anyways, almost going into some kind of dying corpse or some kind of thing you don't understand because you were told that that's where status and meaning is. It can actually be gotten perhaps more in a more fulfilling way, perhaps by the way it's been done for thousands of years before. What are the chances that we talk about emergent orders and you have an emergent order that's been there for thousands and thousands of years, and here you just 50 or 70 years ago, you flip it around the head and you think that the masses are going to be able to handle it? No, they cannot and they never will. This is why I say again, and perhaps this is the way I will end. Seems like we always end this way. This kind of chaos is great for Joan and Ike. The Jones and Ike of this world actually thrive in chaos. Creative, intuitive types, whom can take action in the world. This is the perfect time when it's chaos like this. As I said, when it's order, we get burned as witches. We get crucified. It's bad to be this way. But when it's chaotic, we'll be fine. So we're not talking about ourselves or anyone in the chat. We'll be fine in the chat. This is about the fact that this is a very recent experiment, what we're seeing in our world right now, the whole modern project. It's a blink of an eye. And for those of us who like to watch, let us watch with glee as we eat our leg of lamb. And sorry to the vegans out there. You're vegan, right, Joan? You're offended by the bloody leg of a lamb hanging out from the pot.
I say I eat what my body wants to eat, whatever my body needs right now. I just haven't craved meat in a long time. I mean, I'll have dairy once in a while. I'll have a nice fish once in a while, but other than that, right now meat I just don't crave it. I mean, it's nothing wrong if you crave it. I just don't crave it. That's just where I'm at.
All right. We are out, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, thank you very much again to Goshen, again to Technological Chaos, and everyone else. Peace. Until next time.
In the den of iniquity, vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment, what a pity. Tomorrow never certain, what dwells behind the curtain, the face of evil lurking with the shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble, that either pop or topple, many will fall and stumble, let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso, cannons will breach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.